So today we're going to be talking about my man Stevie Franchise, Steve Francis, former Houston Rockets player. We're going to get into his career and see the impact that he had on the NBA and what happened ever since. I want to welcome you to the channel, Dreamers Pro. Let's go. Now, Steve Francis was actually drafted in 1999 by the Vancouver Grizzlies as the second overall pick. But when he was drafted, there was a lot of drama surrounding that selection because he publicly stated that he did not want to play for the Grizzlies because it was too far away from where his hometown in Maryland and because of taxes and all this different stuff. So he decided that he wanted to be traded, and he was immediately traded to the Houston Rockets. And when that happened, that created a lot of drama, especially in Vancouver at the time. But nevertheless, he got to where he wanted to go play in Houston with the Rockets. And the minute he hit this scene, he just exploded on the scene in Houston. He was an immediate sensation because when Steve Francis was playing in college in Maryland with the Terrapins, he had a lot of media coverage. A lot of people were watching him coming out of college. Due to the way he was performing, he was electrifying. He had a great crossover. He had great handles, and he could really dunk the ball as a 6'3" point guard. So he had a lot of hype surrounding him. And when he got to Houston, he just carried that over. He ended up being co-rookie of the year in the year 2000, I think, with Elton Brand. And he really had a good start to his career. The next year, I think he made an all-star team, and he ended up making 3 all-star teams for his career at the top of the pinnacle of his powers when he was really Stevie Franchise. He was averaging about 21 points a game, 6 rebounds and 6 assists. So he was for his size as a guard, he was able to rebound the ball pretty well for his size as a point guard. And he ended up making all-star teams. So what happened was, at one year he ended up, the Houston Rockets ended up getting, they actually ended up getting Jeff Van Gundy as their coach to be coach. And up until that point, Steve Francis had never made it to the playoffs. And that was around the time when they got Yao Ming. So when Jeff Van Gundy came to play, when he came to coach the Houston Rockets, he wanted to bring in his own philosophy. He was more defensive minded. So for that first year when he came in, Steve Francis's averages as far as scoring actually dipped. I think they dipped down to like 18 points a game. So he really clashed heads with the coach. But in return for that, he ended up making the playoffs for the first time in his career, where they went on to face the Lakers at that time with Shaq and Kobe. And of course, the Lakers ended up beating him that year and knocking him out of the playoffs. But that was his first time of really, having playoff success. And I remember a video of him saying, yeah, that night we definitely popped champagne for making it to the playoffs. So he was really, really excited about that. His career is beginning to look like it's on an upwards trajectory, and people thought, okay, great, this is what's going to happen. He's going to end up, he's going to get further in the playoffs. But as time went by, I guess playing under the system of Jeff Van Gundy and how things were working, he didn't really want to play the way that Jeff Van Gundy wanted him to play. They ended up trading away his best friend at the time, Cuttino Mobley, who had always been his teammate since he came into the league. And once they traded away Cuttino Mobley to another team, I think that he got traded to, I believe it was Steve Francis got traded to the Orlando Magic with a swap out for Tracy McGrady. He ended up going to Orlando, and he had a really good first season. He actually played a little bit with Grant Hill, but you could tell that he wasn't the same guy. Yeah, he was still electrifying. He was pulling off electrifying dunks, but it never really was the same because he really wanted to play with his best friend, Cuttino Mobley, and I think he really enjoyed playing in Houston. But with the swap out, with them sending T-Mac to go play with Yao Ming and all of that, I think deep down in his heart, he felt like he got the short end of the stick because he thought that probably they had something special going. But I think Jeff Van Gundy at the time just didn't see him being the player that's going to help the franchise get to where they wanted to go to. So they thought that it would obviously make more sense to get a bigger player, a player that could score the ball way better than he did in Tracy McGrady. And that's where, from that point forward, things just started to really sort of spiral down. So his career in Orlando didn't last for that long. Then he was eventually traded to go play with the New York Knicks with Stephon Marbury at the time, and there was a lot of hype. I remember New York fans being really hyped. Knicks fans like, yeah, we got Starbury and we got Stevie Franchise. We got the franchise, and we're gonna make the playoffs. And that pairing never worked out. And from that point forward, things just started to go down. And next thing you know, he was playing outside the league and X, Y, and Z. And from that point forward, he was never the player again. He became, yes, he was a 3-time All-Star, and he had a lot of promise, and he was one of my favorite players to watch at the time. But his career just never was the same that that it was in the past. And it was one of those stories where we as NBA fans and sports fans, we sort of sit back and scratch our heads and wonder, whatever could have happened? Whatever happened to Stevie Francis? What happened to him? And if you remember in the video that we did on Derrick Rose had a sort of like the same similar situation, but D Rose kept on fighting. He kept on fighting. For him, it was just injuries. So he kept on fighting until he got back to where he was, till he had a career year with the Grizzlies, interestingly enough. But that's not really what happened with Steve Francis. Since then, we never really heard about him. It's only sports fans like me and others that would really watch him at the time that really know who he is and what he did for the Houston Rockets. He ended up playing in China and all of that, but he never really got back to the point where he started off his career from. So it was a shame. But nevertheless, he made his mark on the NBA, and us as sports fans would just have to sit back and wonder. But for the time we had him in the league, he was a really great player, really electrifying, and he was really fun to watch. So today we just wanted to highlight Stevie Franchise, the former player for the Houston Rockets and Orlando Magic, and just highlight a career that could have been, but he was still a great b-baller while he played. So if you're a Steve Francis fan, if you enjoy watching him play his career, make sure you hit the like button and leave us a comment to let us know some of your favorite moments and what you think his career could have been. Do you think he could have possibly gone on to win a championship? I don't know. Let us know in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. This is Charles here from Dreamers Pro. Wishing you a great day. Peace.